And Are You Okay is a not safe for work podcast, so any young listeners are discouraged from continuing. However, we literally have no way to track that, so do whatever the hell you want and enjoy the show.
I'm not going to argue that, but I do just, we have to acknowledge that his skincare routine is much better than Piccolo's. Well, actually, Piccolo, his orange Piccolo, which is smooth Piccolo.
Orange Piccolo!
Right. So, like he upped his skincare routine. Maybe he learned his lesson from Troll Toll Trav, host of the Dragon Ball for Life podcast, which is about to have its 100th episode.
Yeah,
you know, our sister podcast.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. Oh, by the way, you're listening to Annie, Are You Okay? YALI, this is
a Star Wars podcast.
Come on. Okay. Yeah. So it's me, Mikey C. I'm back from the 123. Actually, it's the 215. We did this last time. Okay. But I'm also joined with my favorite space lesbian, YALI, all caps PEREZ. Thank you for joining us. And we are a Rogue One short. Just want to send our condolences out to our good friend and co-host, Matthew Porter, the Mace Windu Smack Talker Skywalker. He is dealing with unfortunate passing in the family, and we wish him and his family all the best. We love you, Matt, and we're so sorry for your loss. If you know Matt, he is a constant source of positivity and joy in our lives, and if you want to just reach out to him and let him know that you're thinking of him, we certainly are thinking of him as well. But we got to keep the Star Wars train rolling. I think he'd be mad at us if we didn't keep that content flowing. But
absolutely, he'd yell at us for sure. Like, what are you guys doing? We'd be like, whoa, relax.
He'd be like, you didn't watch. It's like, of course we're watching out here.
Oh, mommy watched.
Oh, yeah, she definitely did. And we'll get into that. Before we do so, I guess I'll drop the spoiler warning right here because we kept it a little truncated. Also, special shout out to Trav for hitting the record button. You know, we're a team over here, and we need our family sometimes to step in and even press buttons that we're not able to press when we don't have someone like Matt to press the buttons for us. So
right?
Just sending out the extra love his way as well. We certainly appreciate it. And YALI, this week, not as action-packed as last week. I don't think anything's going to get quite as close to that. But we certainly had a really fun...
Speak for yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll listen. We'll let you get off. We'll let you get your shit off. But I do have to attempt. Oh,
and it did.
Despite very little.
Sorry, guys. This is going to be the whole episode.
I'm trying to collect myself because I just know that you're gonna shine. You're gonna shine this episode. Not as much action happening, in my opinion. YALI might have a different opinion. But the actual description I wrote down for my long-winded one breath thing, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it in one breath because so much from a narrative standpoint happened where they were jumping back and forth. So I'm gonna attempt to do it in as few breaths as possible. So I'm going to dive into the episode description. We're going to hyper dive right into things as we do here on the Annie, Are You Okay podcast. And let's kick things off. Osha awakens on an unknown planet in a cave. She emerges to see nothing but an island and jagged rocks as she explores the island, seemingly inhabited by snorted creatures. She sees starship and a wandering Qimir. Sol and May depart from Kofur. Sol attempts to reach the Jedi Temple on Coruscant to reveal his entire team has been murdered. May hears echoes in the Force from her tests, and before she can confront Sol, he has her take the wheel of the ship to enter orbit. Sol takes a moment to reflect on what he's lost and slams the console in anger over his despair. Meanwhile, Basil, who has snuck aboard, attempts to repair Pip so that he can expose May. Osha attempts to steal Qimmir's lightsaber while he bathes, but he senses her presence and begins to question her. He probes her mind in unprompted attempts to educate and seduce her towards the dark side. Back on Sol's ship, he speaks to May as if she was Osha and begins to open up a bit about what he has been hiding before the ship powers down of its has a powering down of its systems. Soul, thinking that May is Osha, asks if she would be willing to take a look at it. On Coruscant, Venestra is given word that Soul's team has been killed, and she begins to coordinate a team to investigate. Osha and Qimir continue to converse, and he makes several remarks that hint at wanting Osha, and that she is the one who truly holds power compared to her old Jedi companions, while also giving her the choice and freedom to leave. Qimir begins to dispel the Jedi teachings Osha has received, and that the emotions that they use to tap into the Force can be powerful. He asks her why she loves people who can only go so far, who aren't willing to go as deep as she is. Osha maintains that she's not so easily corrupted, and Qimir finalizes his intentions by giving Osha the opportunity to strike him down. Osha gives in to her emotions, but does not strike a killing blow. Qimir takes this moment to empathize with her, and tells her that after one loses everything, they are finally free. We once again jump to the Jedi shuttle, where Basil and Pip attempt to stop May, but May gets the better of them and resets Pip to factory settings. Soul discovers that May is posing as Osha, and uses this opportunity to confine her so that he can get his darkness off his chest. As Venestra's team arrives on Kofir, Soul and May jump out of the system. Venestra and the group of Jedi discover the bodies of the Jedi on Kofir decimated by the Sith Lord, or maybe some other dark sider. The lightsaber wounds lead them to believe that Soul may have been the one that committed the crime. Qimir tells Osha that the mask has a sense deprecation tool, or everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When you put it on, it's nothing but the wearer and the Force, in addition to what they bring with them. Soul tells May that he has spent years thinking about what he would say to May if he ever got the chance, and now she's going to listen. Osha puts on the mask and lets a deep breath out as the screen fades to black and the episode comes to a close. Holy shit, that was a lot. Okay, so YALI.
So much.
Why don't we get your thirstiness for Qimir out of the way, and then we'll actually dive into some of the things discussed in this episode, because I think there's a few juicy tidbits to dive into that aren't necessarily Manny Jacinto's glistening abs, but I will let you talk about that for a moment. So we're obviously on the Not Safe for Work podcast, so if you came wanting to hear about Qimir and being buck naked, you came to the right place. So YALI, go ahead.
Oh, somebody came all right. It was this lesbian who's no. First of all, I called that this man was going to be naked at some point during this season.
And you were right.
Because they ain't had Manny Jacinto's workout for three months or however long the training was. They said for no goddamn reason. And,
it wasn't all lightsaber battles.
I liked it. It wasn't. I like to thank those sisses or whoever decided he needed to be naked. I feel like it was some sisses out there. The fruit basket is coming for Christmas, y'all. Don't worry about it. It's on the way. What a thank you. Just thank you.
You're talking about him like he's a specimen. It's a human being.
Oh, he's a specimen, all right. He was. What a way to entice somebody to join the dark side, if there was ever a way to do it. Obviously, Yord didn't have the right way to win Shorty. You know what I'm saying? Because you could tell Yord was definitely feeling Osha, but he didn't obviously do it the right way. And Qimir said, listen, I know I got all of this to offer.
See, Yord thought the steaminess came from the steamer and not from the...
No.
Yeah.
you just can't, he thought like all of the face would do it, but Jackie saw the body, but Jackie obviously is way too young. You know what I mean? Osha didn't see it. Now, if Osha would have saw that, maybe she would have joined the Yord horde like the rest of us did. But now we're on the Qimir. We don't have a name yet. I'll let you
Not yet. Also, not crazy about, they're calling him the Stranger. Not crazy about it, but...
I hate that.
Yeah.
He's not a stranger. We saw all of him. We are we know each other. I feel like we know each other. A lot of people were bitching about it, which were mostly men, straight men, because I speak for the gays and the days and all of them. We was fine.
Yeah, like I'm personally as a straight white man, I think it's great that you guys got that opportunity to see Manny in his glory.
We love Manny and his. You know what? That should be the name of this.
Manny and his glory.
And his glory. What a hallelujah. I think I texted you. It was like, I'm a Sith now. I've never been a Sith, but I'm a Sith now. I thought it was. You know what? I felt like I thought Andor felt like very much like an adult Star Wars, just because he was hanging out with prostitutes. They didn't say the word prostitutes, but you know, she was a prostitute. And I felt like this kind of toed the line of being like maybe more for like adult, like young, older teens and adults. But again, you don't waste Manny Jacintos. You just don't do it. So I was very thirsty. I thought it was very well. If you want to entice somebody to join the dark side, you gotta use all your tools. Osha seemed to enjoy
all
the
his
glory
tool.
that she saw. All his tools. She looked down the entire time. Osha was like, oh.
Yeah, if you like drew like a dotted line, it was
saber
definitely.
and saber.
Oh, she was fondling his saber, right?
Right, saber and saber. And then my favorite line was, if you're not going to join me, can I put my clothes on? And which means he totally knew she was following, and his goal was to entice her. That was the whole goal of the bath. The bath was, she's definitely following me. Let me use sexuality to try to get this joint to join me.
Would you go as far as to say as Sithes get bitches?
Sithes get bitches. That might also be the name of this episode.
Okay, we're gonna invoke that there. Name of the episode. Name of the episode.
Name of the episode. No, so I again, it worked for me. I totally enjoyed it. I think the entire episode he like played on his charisma, the voice and just like the tonality and just like being mysterious, but also being like empathetic and sympathetic and just everything he did, and even like the whole like when he grabbed her arm, it was like, go ahead, like do it. Even that felt sexy to me. You know what I mean? Just like, whoa, we're like now we close and shit. Like, and he never had his shirt like fully closed, if that makes sense. Like it was always kind of like open so you could see what it was. A lot. All I'm saying is at a certain point I had to watch it again, but like with the door locked and with like a candle lit. You know what I mean? A little Naboo soundtrack in the back, you know what I'm saying? You know what song I'm talking about.
I know exactly. Across the Stars is what it's called. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about. That Pacific song, just a little alone time between me and the not stranger. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I feel like what Star Wars lacked is some sexiness, and I feel like
there was some tension this episode. Yeah, I feel you. I liked it. The dark side the pathway to like many abilities some consider to be unnatural, and unnatural just happens to be cut as fuck. Like
cut as fuck and sexy.
Kylo Ren, no shirt. Anakin in episode 3, no shirt. Manny Jacinto, no pants, no shirt.
No pants and no shirt, no socks, no nothing. He said, baby, I'm naked. Also, I think we should have known that there was gonna be nakedness when they had those little like ball sack aliens, the Skura. The scorer should have told us we getting some nakedness.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Sack aliens. No one could tell me.
It was all our mind was being like fed this information without actually showing us. It was like subliminal messaging.
Yeah. So I would like to thank Disney for giving the people what they wanted, and what the people wanted was Manny Jacinto.
Let's take a small break from talking about Qimir and Osha, and I think we can knock it out in one little chunk here. But how do we feel about Soul and May, and kind of like the revelation there that Soul is really like, I think he was struggling a lot emotionally after this mission, to a point that I think the viewers in particular pick up on things that we never really see from Jedi. He gives into his emotions. He acts on his emotions when he like slams the console, and then he's using it to guide his actions when they jump out of hyperspace before the other Jedi team actually arrives for them. How do you think humanizing Soul will go from like an audience standpoint in terms of people being able to relate to this group of Jedi that's a little before the prequel era more than the ways maybe people have had attached to the Jedi that are a little more dogmatic as we get to kind of like the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones era?
Well, I'm still gonna wear my cape. I still don't think Soul did all. I don't think he lit the fire. I think he poured the gasoline. I'm still gonna ride out until I know otherwise. I think, like you said, I think a lot of times what we see about the Jedi is, like you said, they're very dogmatic and they're just like these firm believers and what they hold true to their convictions and stuff like that. And then what we know about Jedi's, like if they give into their emotions, like, oh shit, they about to switch up on us and they're about to be bad people. Like it's kind of like I said, he feels more like Dooku than he did Qui-Gon, but Qui-Gon was still in the sauce essentially.
Right.
Sometimes he made choices that the Jedi wouldn't necessarily approve of, but he never fully gave in to like those feelings or whatever.
Yeah.
But like Soul being like upset, like you can tell like he genuinely cares about his Padawans. Like he cared about Jackie, he cared about Yord, and like he gives a shit about Osha. Obviously, he cares about May, and like the idea of losing them, like that, like you give a shit. It's kind of like like. It's like the idea of like teachers and stuff. Like you have teachers who give a shit about their students and they go the extra mile for them because they believe in them and they see how they know their potential and how far they can go.
Right, but we never see the teachers when they go home, right? Like I think that's
when they go home.
Yeah, so I think that there's something to be said there about and I didn't quite think about it, but I think you struck a chord with me. I would be really interested to hear how maybe teachers who are also fans of this show reacted to that scene. And how hard it is to kind of like take some of that home with you. But yeah, it is really interesting.
Teachers get different students every year, but they don't never forget about them. You know what I mean? It's like that, like that NBA player who like, they started out one way, but that teacher still remembers that student and they might have had that kid in kindergarten and they remember that now. Like, now you're an NBA player, but I remember in your kindergarten and like your favorite cereal was like the cornflakes or whatever. Like they still remember.
You were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
yeah. Like they still remember all of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like I think the Jedi have those experiences, but they're like taught to like you have to
let it go.
Like, you're supposed to lose that. You're supposed to forget, let it go.
Soul has made a point throughout this entire show. Exactly. Yeah. Soul has made a point this entire show. What is the phrase he uses in that one episode? He was past mistakes are lessons that we learn from, or something similar to that, and I think that that's like encoded into his character. In order to not repeat the past, you have to like remember that's something like that. Yeah.
Like so, he remembers them. I mean, he used that as his excuse to keep remembering them, to not let them go, or whatever that situation is. But like you can tell, even if it's not Osha and May, I'm sure he remembers every other Padawan or every other Jedi he's ever trained. So it makes it weird for people to insinuate like he trained Qimir, if that makes sense. Like I feel like he would remember Qimir if Qimir was one of his students.
That's a good point. I think there's some things that lead into. A lot of people are speculating that his scars are from Venestra's lightsaber whip. And I just don't...
I think it's Venestra. I don't think it would be Qimir. I think it would be Venestra.
Yeah, like, so I'm wondering... There is still a piece of me that feels like Soul and Qimir are connected in some way, because he constantly mentions him. Especially when Osha brings up to him... She is more concerned about Soul than she is about May. And he says to her, he's like, interesting that you brought him up first. And it's like, there is some baggage there. Like, I don't know what Qimir's story is, but it feels like Soul is a part of it. And I'll be happy, I'm not happy to be wrong, but like I'm very interested in that thread. I want to know what happened, and I want to know how they're connected, because I do feel like they're leading to something there. And I also think that Venestra is a red herring, and that they're trying to make her out to be this. I think they're trying to lead the audience in direction, because it's not the first time that they've done that. Like, they're definitely plugging certain people into places to draw you off the scent of what's happening, and they're also being oddly intentional with certain things as well. Like, I think you guys talked about it the week I was away, but they pretty much teed up that Qimir was the stranger in the episode beforehand.
Absolutely.
Right. So it was like, okay, you're pushing us there, but why are you pushing us there? Because what are you pushing us away from? Right? Like, what's the element of this that you're trying to hide from us still? So I do think that there's an element of that there where, I'm disagreeing with you, but I will say that there's not a lot for me to grasp onto in terms of, Soul and Qimir, because you make a good point. Like, I don't think Soul would be so ready to abandon somebody, but I do think there might be other worlds like Osha and Maze that group of Jedi went to, and they leave it in shambles, and maybe Qimir was left behind during something like that. So it'll be interesting to see for sure. While we're still on the topic of Sol and May, I do want to... I feel like May is the least mysterious character of everybody, and then I can kind of like read her like a book. I think last week I said that she's defined by her fear, and you're just watching it play out is like, this girl, everything she's doing, all of her actions are a direct result of her trauma. Like in every facet. And it pains me to see her do some of these things, because it's like, it's just who she is. But when she resets Pip to factory settings, I'm just like, it's the equivalent of killing someone, in my opinion. Like, I don't know if Pip has a backup memory somewhere like C-3PO did in The Rise of Skywalker, but it, like, that hurt me more than a lot of the other things in this show so far. And there's been a lot of death but like actions like that are just like, you're being so fucking selfish, May. Like it frustrated me. And now I think it's interesting that she's now in a position where it's like, no, now she has to take a seat and like actually listen to what Sol has to say. And maybe Sol's going about it the wrong way by, putting her in restraints like that. But at the same time, it's just like her cycle of, if her cycle of trauma is going to end, she's going to be the one who has to step up and stop it. And obviously, I think a lot of people deal with their set of trauma, and it's no excuse to make you a bad person, but it certainly can guide your actions. And I think that we're seeing that play out in a very relatable way, regardless of how frustrating it is to watch. And I would say that like the frustration watching it it's not me like being, like this character sucks. This character, they quote unquote suck in the way that I'm just like, how are you going to do all these terrible things? Like, have you not learned from the like bad things that have happened to you? But in reality, it's like she's just continuously acting out due to the things that have happened to her. So in some ways, I'm just like, this girl could have gotten so much from having Sol as like a teacher in the past, but her sister got it instead when her sister probably didn't need it as bad as May did. It's a weird like dichotomy. How do you feel about that?
I know a lot of people say like you literally get stunned at the age where your trauma happened, and so like they're stuck. Both of them are stuck at being like 12 years old or however young they were. So it's just like they're still kids, and so they're acting like little kids. They're making decisions like little kids would do, who are not really thinking about the consequences. And I think like May and Osha are both acting like little kids. Like they're making selfish decisions. One's acting on fear, the other one's acting on anger. Both are two things that we are told leads to the dark side. Right. And so like I also felt that same way. I was like, resetting Pip made me really upset, because like it's kind of like the same thing that happened to like Lola, essentially, when like they made Lola bad. I was like, don't do that to Lola. Like, how dare you? You know what I mean? Like, they were able to fix Lola, obviously, so I'm like hoping they were able to fix Pip. But it's just like she's acting like a little kid, and like they don't have the same. May got Qimir and whoever else is the other person, because obviously there's some other person. Yeah, I agree. No, but that's not a parent. They don't have parental guidance. You know what I mean? She doesn't have a parent to guide her, to take her from being 12 to an adult where she is now. So she's still stuck as a child. So she's going to make decisions as we as adults are going to like piss us the fuck off. It's like, what the hell are you doing? So sometimes you have to remind yourself, like, she's still a baby. She's still not, she just doesn't know what the hell she's doing. So she's acting irrational, but it's going to piss you the fuck off. And I think what they're trying to do in the series, and maybe this is me like giving them too much, maybe reading too much into it, but I think what they're trying to do is like with Anakin, at least prequel Anakin, they're trying to show like, he obviously went to the dark side, and maybe there wasn't a chance to redeem him, you know what I mean? And I think they tried to show in a little bit in Obi-Wan that like there wasn't anything he could really do. Like he had to just let it go that self, and just fully let the darkness consume him, and that he was always going to be Vader no matter what we could do about it. But I think maybe in this they're trying to say like there is even if there's if they're starting a path to the dark side, there's one of them has the ability to walk it back, and turn back to the light. And then the other one's destined to go like
the other
down
way,
the path to the dark side.
Yeah.
And maybe the path is for May to turn back around and find her path back to the light. But I think that the frustrating part is just like, can someone who's stunted as a child mentally make the decision that an adult has to make? Like, how fast do we expect her to go from 12 to 24 or wherever she's at in basically 2 episodes?
Yeah,
like,
no, it's a good point. And you know, I think we brought this up on one of the earlier episode discussions, but there's like this interview with George Lucas from, I think it might be like during when the prequels were being made, but it has a lot to do with the Return of the Jedi, where, you know, Vader's been this terrible person for half of his life at that point, right? And he chooses to save his son, and a lot of what George said he was trying to say with that is that, like, yeah, you have done terrible things, but every day is a new opportunity to do the right thing. And I think we might hopefully be able to get to see that from May, and maybe that comes from whatever revelation Soul gives her. I think we're good there. Don't worry, I have a plan to bring us back to 2 pieces of both these stories here. So bear with me, Allie. But let's travel back to the random island planet with the little ball sack alien guys to talk about
the Skura.
To talk about the seduction techniques of Qimir on Osha, and Osha giving into her emotions a little bit, and how that factors into kind of where like the story might play out from here, because I do think that ultimately he is going to be successful in turning Osha. I don't think that she's going to maintain her because she's been very much acting like a Jedi without being a Jedi, and he kind of calls that out when he's confronting her. But the thing here that I think is sticking to me the most is how much freedom he gives Osha while she's on the island. He tells her she can swim to the ship. He tells her, to, not be confined to using the Force through practice, but like letting her emotions connect her deeper to the Force. And he also mentions that the power she sees in others is really not theirs. It's hers. Kind of like planting that seed that, like, you've been stronger than all of them all along. Like, you just don't see it. And her ability to get to that point is definitely by feeding into her emotions that she's not supposed to be tapping into with the Jedi, which is what the Jedi told her, right? And so now I think that there is some baggage there that she's going to take with her through the rest of the story. And that's going to be unlocked by, I think we both know it's coming, the huge flashback episode. And that's kind of where I'm connecting these two things. I have an idea about that, but before we do speak on that, I just want to get your read on, is there anything that stuck out to you in Qimir's dialogue to Osha that made you feel like, oh yeah, the Sithes are getting the bitches?
The Sithes are getting the bitches. It reminded me so much of, like, I feel like it was, I think Obi-Wan and Anakin had the scene where Anakin was like, I'm stronger than them. You know what I mean? Like, the Jedi, the Council keep, like, trying to hold me back, but, like, it's me. Like, I'm stronger than everybody. Like,
it's when Anakin's talking to Padme on Tatooine after he kills the Tusken Raiders.
Oh, yeah, it was Padme. Yeah. And he was like, I'm stronger than all of them. Like, they're holding me back. Like, I'm stronger. Like, it's kind of like that, but without all the, like, heightened emotion of all of it all. But it's that same kind of feeling, where he's, like, Qimir's like, it's you. Like, you're stronger than all of it. You know what I mean? Everything you're seeing, all of that is just you. They're the ones who keep telling you it's not you. You know what I mean? Like, you feel like you failed, but actually you didn't fail. You actually, like, you won. Like, you passed. Like, all of those other things is, like, it gave me that same sense of feeling of, like, reminding, like, that same feeling, just like, and I think it just hit her like in a different place without that same sense of heightened emotion, because Anakin was already feeling that way. I think Osha was kind of feeling that way, but it wasn't the same trigger. You know what I mean? Like, Anakin was just waiting for somebody to, like, like that, like in a fight, like, hold me back, hold me back, hold me back. Like, that's what Anakin was like. But Osha wasn't in that same boat. You know what I mean? But like, I think Osha always thought that, and him saying it just kind of made her think, "Oh, that's what that was." You know what I mean? Like, that's what that feeling is. Whereas Anakin was just like, he always thought it was in a different, same feeling, different place. You know what I mean? So
yeah, like Anakin's came from arrogance.
I think he just knows how to speak.
Yeah,
he was ego tripping,
right?
Mad crazy. But I think Qimir just knows how to speak to her. You know what I mean? And maybe it's part of it's definitely seduction.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he also he relates to her too. And then
there was a heavy amount of empathy.
Having May.
Yeah.
Empathy there for sure. And also he has May to kind of like, he already has dealt with May, so he knows like what didn't work with May will probably work with Osha. If that makes sense. It's like, all right, I tried and failed here. Let's see what works. You know what I mean? So it's like practice, all those things. So I think he has like a different elements of like, it's the ways to make it work out. So, but I definitely feel like there's definitely a level of empathy there with her for some reason. Like they just connect in a different way. But yeah,
I think some of it stems from both of them having been.
The success rate here is going to be mad high.
Yeah, I think it comes from both of them having been trained as Jedi. I think that's really like the big thing that connects them in a way that May could never understand, because May didn't go through that experience, right? Where she's told to suppress emotions like that. May's always had those emotions. In fact, she's always been super afraid of losing her attachments, which is something that Qimir he's already lost all of his attachments, right? And Osha is almost in the same boat too, where it's like she gave up all of her attachments. She's made peace with it. In a way, that kind of brings Qimir's Sith experience or dark side experience very in line with Osha's light side experience, which is why they're able to, it's almost where like the things are intersecting, which is weird, because I don't think we've ever quite seen how close those experiences can be. And, it just takes a certain person to react a certain way, and maybe a level of maturity or a level of trauma that pushes someone over the edge, whereas someone's able to toe the line a little better and make their way back to the light. Now, this is where I'm going to pull things together, and I haven't.
In Osha's mind, May's been dead for like, she just found out May was alive a week ago. Like we actually don't know how much time has actually transpired, but like in her mind, she's lost everything this entire time. Like, and then she had just lost more people. Like she just lost Jackie. She just lost Yord. She's continuously losing. So all she knows is loss. So every time Qimir mentions loss, it just keeps hitting harder and harder.
It's like twisting the knife.
May doesn't know what it is to like. Yeah, May doesn't really know what it is to continuously lose. If anything, May just like continues to gain. You know what I mean? Like now she's gaining soul, and now she has her new pip droid, and she's continuing to gain as she continues to pretend to be Osha. She gains more as she continues to be Osha, whereas Osha just keeps losing the more she goes through May's life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Reverse.
No, I think that's a really good call out, and like it's a theme I didn't even pick up on about how much May is gaining, even though it might not seem it. There are, she's going to probably learn something from her experience with Soul, and then also is, maybe she takes Pip, and yeah, you're right. Like while I'm mad at her, she now has a new, droid companion essentially. And we can see how that plays out. And you kind of teed me up perfectly here. I have a theory, and I'm kind of interested to hear what your thoughts on it are. Clearly, next week is probably going to be a flashback episode, but I think we're going to be getting two unreliable narrators telling us what's happening. I think we're going to see Soul's perspective, and he is going to try to cover it up. And I think the big thing, and I'm sure you picked up on it too, was Qimir said to her, what's in there is you, the Force, and whatever you take with you. And I think Osha is going to bring all of the emotions that she was just told to unlock, fear, anger, hate, into her helmet with her. And we're going to be seeing Osha's experience and Soul's experience through skewed lenses, kind of like having drunk goggles on. While we get this flashback. And I think there's going to be a lot of, how much of the truth are we getting here? How much are we going to have to decipher? And I'm wondering, do you think that that's possible, or do you think we're going to actually get what happened in the next episode?
I think there might be a third point of view. I think Vanessa's point of view probably comes into it because I think she was there from what I gathered. Just like that little interaction she had with Soul, which was like episodes ago, which seems like it was yesterday, but it's actually a while ago actually. But I think she was there for a certain point of it. So I think like it'll be Soul, Osha, and then Vanessa for a part of it to like clear some of it up, possibly. But I do agree. I feel like even if Soul's point of view isn't as unreliable because he hasn't been as forthcoming. I still wear my cape. It's like, even if he is telling the truth, it's like, how much do we actually believe him? You know what I mean? Yeah. Even if it is all true, how much as the audience can we believe what he's saying is the truth? Because, like, he started off as feeling like, oh, like this great holy monk man, and now as he's going along, it's like, how much do we know is the truth? Whereas Osha's like, we don't know if we can trust her because just from her interactions with May and back and forth, it's like both of them actually don't really know what the fuck transpired. And I feel like the only person who actually might actually know what the truth is would have been Indara, but Indara is dead. Although Matt's holding out for hope. Yeah. So for Matt's sake, I hope Indara's alive.
If he's right, he's going to be a leg up on a lot of people.
He's going to lose this shit.
Yeah.
Or Vanessa, who was either knows all of it from the accounts from everyone, or she was, but I think that she was there just from like her reactions from everything. So hopefully Vanessa is the person who cleans it all up from us. We get all the perspectives, and she just kind of
well, because she says to Soul like, you should have told me. So yeah, there's part of it.
He was like, if I would have known, I would have told you. And she was like, I ain't know.
Right. So it's definitely interesting there. Outside of that, there's not much else with the episode that I want to discuss. I'm going to open up the floor to you. There are a few critiques I have. Usually I'm like stupid positive about a lot of things going on, but there's certain things that in this episode specifically that kind of...
Oh, I have a critique.
Yeah.
I have a critique.
Is it about how many screen wipes there were? Because it really bothered me this episode.
It's not. The screen wipes bothered me. I have two critiques. One is Mog. Vanessa's... I don't know what he is.
He might be her Padawan, but he's her Jedi companion on that mission. Yeah.
Okay, so I have like this brief... It was a brief critique of Obi-Wan with Reva, where I felt like she was too... Of our time, she felt like... I don't know. Like to us. Like to now.
Like our real life dialogue made its way into Star Wars.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Mog felt so out of place for me. I was like, how did this fan make it to the set and then they gave him lines? Like, he felt like a cosplayer who just managed to make his way on the show. I was like, who are you? Like, he bothered me. Like, the hair was like wrong, the outfit looked cheaper than everyone else's, the vernacular. I was like, how did he make it? Like, every time he spoke, I was like, bruh. Like we've had British people be on the show. Like, there's a lot of Star Wars as British people. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a thing. But where did you come from? Like, did you owe someone a favor? Like, someone owed you a favor? Like, he's a cousin of a direct, like, I don't know. Mog bothered the shit out of me. Like, Mog, no. And then, I think it was a screen wipe or something, where they, like, all of a sudden it was just, like, dead Jackie. Like, why would you do that to me? No.
I actually liked that. I think we critiqued the score last time, but it was good when they cut to her and it was like a really dramatic like beat on that. Like, but yeah, it was pretty jarring.
It was just like, yes, it was just like dead Jackie. I was like, what the fuck? Excuse me?
Yeah, that was intense.
I was just trying to get over it, and now you reminded me she's like dead. Like, we're not gonna get no more Jack. I was like,
yeah.
Like, warning. Somebody warned. Like, it wasn't even like a pan and then there was Jackie. Like, no, it's just dead Jackie. Mm-hmm. I was like, the fuck? Like, is this a horror film all of a sudden? Like, that was unnecessary. Like, jump scares in my Star Wars, I didn't
I also,
This is not cool.
there's something that I think live action. So I think you and I have had quite a few discussions about this. I hate the term filler episode because, in my opinion, there really aren't any as long as the character development makes sense. However, that being said, I think that live action Lucasfilm needs to take a lesson from animation Lucasfilm and provide some action sequences in these episodes that make it feel a little more lively. Like, I personally don't have any problems with the character development. I like diving into kind of the psychology of what's going on. Like, I really was interested in the Qimir and Osha conversation. The stuff happening with Sol and May, I feel like could have played out maybe a little better if there was some sort of conflict that was forcing them to work around each other or work with each other, that pushed the narrative forward and kept Sol in the dark until the end. Same things happening, but like the Basil portion of it, it just didn't quite work for me in that way. If anything, it just felt silly. Which, and don't get me wrong, Star Wars can be silly. That's I'm not saying that it can't. I'm totally fine with that. I think you could have found a way to make it silly while also doing, something dangerous, right?
They were trying to sell Funko Pops.
Right. And that's fine. Like, Star Wars is a merchandising machine. I get it. I'm not opposed to it. I'm down for that type of stuff, but I just wish there was a little more action in this episode. And I think that this is the only one I've really ever felt that way about this in the season so far. And I know there's quite a few people that I've talked to have felt like it didn't quite hit the mark for them. And you have to take a step back when you have an episode like episode 5, right? But that doesn't mean you have to completely take your foot off the gas. So I think that there's something to be said there, like a very minor critique. I still really enjoyed the episode, and there's a lot of great stuff in there. It's kind of like when I talk about The Last Jedi. Like, I think it has some of the best Star Wars that we've ever gotten in terms of all the Kylo, Luke, and Rey stuff. But it's also some of the worst Star Wars in terms of like the Canto Bight stuff, and it just feels like they didn't really know what to do with those characters. And so that's kind of how I felt about this episode. And I think there could have been maybe a more creative and action-packed way to get us to the same ending point without maybe feeling like it was like wasted time. Because this is one of the episodes that had the longest runtime. So
we definitely didn't need the random scenes of the little nutsack aliens. Like,
there was a lot of that.
I don't even know what that was for. Like, what was that for? Because I'm not buying that, just so you know. Like, who is buying that?
So was there anything else you want to discuss, Yali, before we move on to the Easter eggs and references?
I did like, though, that in this we got to know a little bit more about, like, that Qimir is older than he seems. Mm-hmm. Because he was like, how old are you? He was like...
It was a long time ago, right? Like, he was,
It was a long time ago. Yeah. And he's like, all of this is good skin. Same thing, whatever Trav is
doing. Yeah, they're doing Trav's skincare routine. He's on it, yeah.
Qimir's doing the exact same thing. But, like, that... So it makes it seem like... I think it leans more to, like, your theory that, like, Sol and Qimir are closer together than they would be. Because, like, from the viewing eye, you're like, oh, Manny Jacinto is way younger than Lee Jung Jae. So, like, in the Star Wars universe, there's no way that they would know each other. But
what if they were brothers? You just blew my mind. Maybe that's how they know each other.
They could be. But like I said, but just from our visual perspective, we wouldn't think that. But again, age in Star Wars would mean shit.
Right, and if they're using dark side techniques to keep himself young or whatever, like, that would be very interesting. Very interesting. I like this theory we just cooked up.
It's literally, again, I have to always remind myself, age means literally nothing in Star Wars. It's bullshit. So I think people need to remind, again, I like that he pointed that out to us. It's like, it was a long, long time ago. So it's very likely that they do know each other. And then if Sol, for some reason, is suppressing his emotions, well, I feel like that is something he's struggling with, he could be suppressing the memory of Qimir for some reason. So that might be why he's like, you feel familiar, but the memory isn't clicking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
no, that's a good call out.
Knows, but I like.
Very interesting.
Yeah, but I need Mog to not be in no more scenes. I swear to God, I can't take no more Mog. I really don't. He is a cosplayer that made his way onto the set, and they just let man.
Listen, he's living a lot of people's dreams. All right.
But like, you don't think he fits? Do you honestly think he fits? Like, that's my question to
you. He seemed a little quirky to me, but other than that, I wasn't like taken out of what was going on. It just seemed like,
really?
Yeah, it's okay, YALI. We have different opinions. It's fine.
He was bright, and then even the coloring, he just felt brighter than everybody else.
When I rewatch, on my rewatch, I'll keep an eye out for it.
He was just shiny as hell. I was like, why are he so bright?
He's glistening. He's on Trav's skincare routine. He's glistening.
Yo, everybody, Trav out here just making money in the Star Wars universe, just selling it to everybody. He's like, oh, that's how Trav paid for that wedding. He was like, I'm just selling my skincare routine in a galaxy far, far away.
Have your skin feel soft like a Bespin cloud.
Woo! Yes!
All right.
I can't. I'm just going to be like, there go Mog again. And then the name, too, Mog. Mog is also the name of a character in Final Fantasy. Yeah. So I was just like...
So that was actually, I think, on purpose.
Really?
I do, yeah, because I saw someone else point out that there were Final Fantasy characters named, I think, Wedge and Biggs. So it was like a...
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So I think that Mog reference was on purpose. So I kind of like it for that reason.
But Mog is a Moogle.
Yeah, Moogles are
Mog's a Moogle.
Well, Mog looked a little funny looking, and Moogles look a little funny looking. They're the little white guys with the red ball, right? Yeah.
Moogles are cute. No offense to Mog in this, but baby, not after Daddy Qimir was on the scene, I was like, nah, this. I don't know.
All right.
Maybe he'll do better, but maybe I'm hating.
That's okay. You're our resident hater, so that's just how it is.
That is true.
Let's move on to Easter eggs and references. Qimir suggests that what he wants is the power of two, obviously a nod to the coven that Ocean may come from, but it's also potentially a nod to the rule of two. I think that's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
Venestra's lightsaber whip is the first one we see in not only live action, but it's the first canon lightsaber whip. So those who read the High Republic novels are aware that she has that. I think a lot of people were excited to see it, even though there's another criticism here is I feel like we saw a half second more of it than we've been seeing in these TV spots, and I'm just like, if you're gonna like whip it out, literally, like pun intended, maybe do something more with it.
He whipped.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just wanted to see more of it. I liked it. I just wanted to see more of it. And maybe we will, right? But it would have just been nice. Maybe that's where they could have added some action in. Maybe more of the moths attacked them, and that's when Venestra like goes off, and we can kind of see how capable she is while also, showing us the lightsaber whip. Qimir telling Osha what is in the mask is her and the Force, and whatever she brings with her is a nod to Yoda telling Luke almost the same thing on Dagobah in the Dark Side Cave. That was pretty obvious. While it resembles Ahch-To, the first Jedi Temple island, it was confirmed by Leslie Headland that the island itself was not Ahch-To. That's not the planet they're on, which has led many to speculate that it's the planet Baldemic, or Baldemnik. It's a Legends planet. Has a lot to do with Darth Tenebris and Darth Plagueis. And it happened to have cortosis. We didn't bring it up at all throughout the episode, but there is that vein of cortosis in the cave where Qimir's working on the mask. So I think that's pretty spot on, and probably what it's going to end up being. Maybe they change the name. Doubt it. They probably are going to keep it the same as it was in Legends.
Yeah, no. She's been good at keeping things as they are. Yeah,
for sure. And it's, to me, is a respectful way of cherry picking things from Legends, which Star Wars has been doing since the Disney acquisition very well, in my opinion. To this point, yes, there's a lot of characters that no longer exist. However, some of the established lore that's happened outside of Ki-Adi-Mundi's age, which I think is a really nitpicky thing to gripe about, has been pretty respectful. So the second time we see a droid reset to its factory settings, this happened in The Rise of Skywalker. And I didn't count Lola because she gets fixed. And I also didn't count IG-11, who was like rebuilt by right. So I personally don't think that that's resetting factory settings. Like, it's completely like rebuilding or fixing a droid, to me, is different than what happened to Pip and 3PO. So That was the last of my Easter eggs and references. Anything you caught that I didn't? I can't believe I've missed a couple throughout the episode, so I think I'm a little rusty. I'm not on top of my game.
No, it's cool. No, but Lola still heard it because, you know, Lola was a G that whole season. I still haven't bought my Lola thing. I have to go. Hot Topic's having a sale, so I'm about to re-up on some.
Did you see that?
Buy one, you get two for free.
There's like the 25th anniversary Lego Star Wars stuff has been happening, and one of the figures is young Leia with Lola as her, like, yeah. So, very.
I just got paid today, so who knows what's about to happen.
Hell yeah, spend that money.
I'm about to be poor.
Feed the marketing machine.
No, I did. Yes, absolutely. I did, because I knew Matt would not be here. I did look for some conspiracy theories.
Okay.
I did see some. So Matt was right that some people thought that the master would probably be like Pelagius or in that realm. Some people predicted that might be the person who is the actual master, and so that Qimir is the apprentice.
Before the one who gets
Osha
replaced by Sheev?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what people were thinking. And that, I did see a lot of people thinking that Qimir would be a Knight of Ren. And I'm like, again, y'all don't know how emos work. They're going to be one head emo. It's not going to
It's just like the Highlander. I think that there's still some validity to that one, but it remains to be seen. I think we have to see how this plays out in order for it to...
It does remain to be seen.
Yeah.
Again, and then I think maybe the thing that does maybe lead credence is the fact that Qimir did say like he is older than he looks. And again, age means nothing in this universe. So if he would be one, but again, I just feel like Qimir doesn't seem like the type who follows orders. Like, it doesn't seem like that's his steez. Like, he wants to be free. You know what I mean? Like, he mentions freedom a lot.
Yeah, so I'm going to respectfully challenge, to use your term, but at the same time, it is going to maybe bolster your thoughts on this. The freedom that he's looking for and the pupil that he's looking for might be his way out of an abusive relationship with his master, making him the apprentice. Okay, so I think that his motivations could be clearly tied to what you said. So yes, he wants that freedom. He's doing this, but he's still the apprentice trying to get out from the thumb of his master. And I think that speaks to it. It also could be where he got the scars from. Like, I do think that there's an element there where, like, you know, maybe the scars didn't come from whatever traumatic thing led him down the dark side. Maybe those scars came from his master. So, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, that's sad. Would be interesting. Then that wouldn't be the rule of 2. That'd be like the rule of 6 or 7.
Which is always how it's been in Star Wars. There's so many quote-unquote acolytes. I love when people are like, oh, there can't be more than 2 Sith. They said so. And it's like, dog, all the Sith do is break rules. What are you talking about?
All they do is lie. It's like that old school thing. Why are you always
yeah.
That's all the fuck they did. Like, what are you talking about? But I seen a lot of people like feel like really honing in on like the Knight of Ren thing. Like they feel like that. And also the Darth T for the Darth Veneer mask does look like one of the Knights of Ren, like in the comics, and like it looks very similar to one. So I'm like, yeah, I can see the point. But a lot of people feeling like there's some Darth Plagueis connection and a lot of Knights of Ren connection there. So like I've seen the internet, I feel the same. And also a lot of internet are complaining about him being naked. Again, get over it.
Yeah, I don't see how that's a problem.
If it was Osha or May being naked in the pond,
no one would be complaining. No one would be complaining.
So like, let's
no, it's.
I wouldn't also been complaining. Again, I'm equal opportunity over here on this side.
Yeah,
so.
I hear you.
It is what it is.
And I appreciate more sexual tension in my Star Wars. I think I personally like the romantic angles in Star Wars. So I know that people are a little upset that Osha and Qimir are being shipped, but like, go ahead, let them ship them. I don't care. Whatever is good for the story. I don't care. I really don't care.
Romance.
Yeah.
Star Wars has always been about giving you everything. It gives you action, comedy, mystery, romance. It's all about all of those things that people will keep forgetting. Like, if you only get honed in on one aspect of it, then you forget about all the other things that make Star Wars.
Oh, there's
good.
So many things,
Yeah.
ingrained in its DNA, and it's so great because it is able to take from all these awesome things, right? All right, well, that has been our coverage of episode...
Something.
Yeah, that's been our coverage of episode 6 of Star Wars The Acolyte. YALI, thank you for joining me on this journey. Once again, just want to, send some love to our brother Matt. We know, he's always working so hard for us, and we know he's going through a lot right now, and we just want to say we love you, and, if you know Matt, definitely reach out to him, let him know you're thinking of him. One way you can directly support all of us is by checking out the 100th episode of our sister podcast. YALI happens to be the executive producer over there, and I do producing along with Dragon Paul GT, who did a masterful job of putting together our 100th episode.
Yes,
it's going to be our first YouTube episode, that's fully edited video, everything. So go check us out, Dragon Ball 4, that's Dragon Ball the number 4 life, on YouTube. And then you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at db4l_pod on Instagram and Twitter. We are trying our best to be more social. So definitely reach out to us there and follow us there. And you can follow us at Annie Are You Okay on the letters ANI Are You Okay pod on Instagram and Twitter. Definitely trying to be more active there as well. Tell us all of your fun and funny Star Wars theories, jokes, and references. We'd love to hear them. And maybe even bring them up here on the podcast. And you can also...
and thirstiness.
Yeah, we love thirstiness. We also would love to see some reviews pop in from time to time. YALI and I, being the producers, we have to make sure that we hit all of the plugs on our thing before we leave. But go show us love in all those facets of things. And if you hate us, well, you can do that too. I don't know why if you listen this far and you're doing that, I would be shocked if you hate us. But I'm always down to read toxic comments.
Why would you?
No one can bully me because I bully myself harder. So, just letting you know.
And I do it too.
Exactly.
I bully him all the
It's
time.
true. No, not really. She's the
To
greatest.
the point where it's are we even still friends?
Oh, stop it. And YALI, you did volunteer for this, so if you could close this bad boy out and attempt to make our boy Matt proud.
Matt, I got you. First of all, I've been practicing my rhymes. I've been very, I get down with the rap, which surprises so many people because I have a rap line tattoo on my leg. So it's just her? Yes. I'm from the ghetto, if you can imagine. But anyways, how are we going to take this out? How I'm going to rip it and rhyme it. So how are we going to do this? It could be Qimir. It could be Scorpion, Get Over Here. We can keep it 90s and keep it Kid and Play. Or it could just be May. But as long as there's no sand, Annie gonna be okay.
Be okay.
So thank you for checking in for Annie. Are you okay?
A Star Wars podcast.
A Star Wars podcast. Bam! Matt, that's for you. I love you, baby. That's for you, Matt. I love you.